Book of Heaven. Volume 16. 5th to the 16th of August 1923. Page 8 to 15. August 5, 1923. In order to make redemption, it was necessary for the most holy humanity of Jesus and for his human will to enter into the divine will. In the same way, in order to fulfill the fiat voluntas tua, it is necessary that another creature, Luisa, enter into it. I fusing all of myself in the holy will of God, and my sweet Jesus, investing me with a supreme light, told me, "My daughter, if my supreme will had not let my human will enter into the divine will, my humanity, as holy and pure as it is, could not have formed the complete redemption. My human will would have lacked all-seeingness, and so it could not have seen everyone. It would have lacked immensity, and so it could not have embraced all. Omnipotence, and it could not have saved everyone. Eternity, and it could not have taken everything as one point, making up for everything. Therefore, the first role in redemption was of the divine will, the second, of my humanity. If it wasn't for the divine will, redemption would have been for few and limited in time, because not having the light of all-seeingness which makes everyone known, I could not have extended myself to all. So, in order to form redemption, I did nothing other than open the doors of the divine will to my humanity, doors, which the first man had closed, and giving it free field, I let it work redemption in its very womb. Since then, no one else has entered my divine will to work in it as master, in full freedom, as though being the owner of it, in order to enjoy all the power and the goods it contains. My will in me is like the soul to the body. And if doing my will has been the greatest grace for the saints, which entered into them as though by reflection, what will it be not only to receive its reflections but to enter into it and enjoy all its fullness? Now, just as in order to form redemption it was necessary for my humanity and for my human will to enter into this divine will, for the fulfillment of the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven, it is now necessary that I open again the doors of my eternal will, that I let one creature enter, and that, giving her free field, I let her do from her greatest to her tiniest act in the all-seeingness, immensity and power of my will. As you enter into it to emit your thoughts, words, works, steps, reparations, pains, love and thanksgivings, my will coin all your acts. And they will receive the divine image, with the value of divine acts, which, being infinite, will be able to make up for all, reach all, and have so much ascendancy over the divinity as to make this supreme will descend upon earth, bringing the goods it contains. It will happen as to metal, to gold, to silver. Until the image of the king is minted on it, it cannot be given the value of money, but as soon as it is minted, it acquires value as currency and it circulates throughout the whole kingdom. There is no town, village or important place, in which it does not enjoy its prestige as money, and there is no creature who can live without it. Its metal may be vile or precious, it does not matter. As long as the image of the king is impressed on it, it runs through the whole kingdom, enjoys supremacy over all, and makes itself loved and respected by all. In the same way, everything which the soul does in my will, since the divine image is minted on it, runs through heaven and earth, has supremacy over all, does not refuse to give itself to whomever wants it, and there is no place in which its beneficial effects are not enjoyed. Now, while he was saying this, we prayed together, and Jesus let my intelligence enter his will. Together, we offered to the Supreme Majesty the homage, the glory, the submission, the adoration of all created intelligences. At the contact with the Supreme Will, a divine image was impressed in the homages and adorations, and they diffused over all created intelligences like many speaking messengers, which placed themselves in order in the creation, all of them, in relation with the Supreme Will. But who can say what one could see and understand? My most sweet Jesus added, "My daughter, have you seen? Only by entering my will, all this can happen. Therefore, continue to let your gazes, your words, your heart and all the rest of you, enter into it, and you will see surprising things." Then, after spending more than 3 hours in the divine will, doing together with Jesus all that he told me to do, I found myself inside myself. But who can say all? I feel that my poor intelligence is unable to. If Jesus wants, I will continue. For now, I will stop here. August 9, 1923. The human will enwraps the creature with darkness, but one who lives in the divine volition makes the light and the sun of the divine will arise. I was fusing myself in the holy divine will, and my sweet Jesus, squeezing me to himself, started to pray with me, and then he told me, "My daughter, the human will has covered with clouds the whole atmosphere, in such a way that thick darkness hangs over all creatures, and almost all of them walk limping and groping. And every action they do without the connection of the divine will, intensifies this darkness, and man becomes more blind, because the light, the sun of the human will, is the divine will. Without it, there is not light for the creature. Now, one who works, prays, walks, etc., in my will, rises above this darkness, and as she works, prays, speaks, piercing these thick clouds, she sends flashes of light over all the earth, such as to shake those who live down at the bottom of their will, preparing their souls to receive the light, the sun of the divine will. This is why I care so much that you live in my will, that you may prepare a heaven of light which, sending continuous flashes of light, may dispel this heaven of darkness that the human will has formed over their heads, in such a way that, possessing the light of my will, they may love it, and my will, loved, may reign upon earth." August 13, 1923. The fiat voluntas tua had its beginning, origin and seed in the celestial Mama. This plan of the human will in the divine was realized by Jesus, and now, through Luisa, he makes it available to human creatures. I felt oppressed because of the privation of my sweet Jesus, so I started to pray, praying that he would no longer delay his return to my poor soul, for I could no longer resist. Then, to my surprise, I saw that he was clinging to my neck, surrounding me with his arms, with his face touching mine, and with a light which he wanted to infuse in my mind. Drawn to him, I kissed him, but it was as though I wanted to reject that light, as I said to myself, "I don't care about knowing things. All I want is to save my soul, and Jesus alone is enough to save me. All the rest is nothing." But Jesus touched my forehead and I could no longer resist. So the light entered into me and said, "My daughter, one who has been called to an office, must know the secrets, the importance, the duties, the goods, the founder and all which belongs to that office. Now, you must know that a simple creature broke the relations which existed between the divine will and the creature, and this split destroyed the plans which God had in the creation of man. Now, a simple creature, the Virgin Queen of all, although endowed with many graces and privileges, but still a mere creature, was given the office to bind again, to be tested by, and to place herself in relation with the will of her Creator, in order to repair the first split of the first creature. A woman, the first one. A woman, the second one. She was the one who, binding her will to ours, gave back to us the honor, the decorum, the subjection, and the rights of creation. Was it not one creature alone who received the beginning of evil and formed the seed of the ruin of all generations? In the same way, this celestial creature alone received the beginning of good. By putting herself in relation with the will of her Creator, she formed the seed of the eternal fiat, which then became a tree. And the eternal Word felt drowned to rest in the shade of his eternal will, and he was conceived, forming his humanity in that virginal womb, in which his supreme will reigned as a ruling king. Do you see, then, how all goods come from my supreme will, and all evils enter the field when the creature withdraws from the divine will? Had I not found a creature who had my will as life, and who placed herself in relation with me, with those bonds of creation wanted by me, I would not have wanted, nor would have I been able to descend from heaven to take on human flesh in order to save man. Therefore, my Mama was the beginning, the origin, the seed of the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven. Since one creature had destroyed it, it was just that one creature would rebuild it. And since my humanity never separated from my divinity, upon this seed of my own will which I found in my Divine Mother, I formed the great plan of the human will in the divine will. With my human will united to the divine, there was not one human act which I did not place in relation with the supreme will. With the divine will I was aware of all the acts of all generations. With the human will I repaired and bound them to the eternal will. There was not one act which escaped me, and which was not ordered by me in the most pure light of the supreme will. I could say that redemption cost me little. My external life, the pains of my passion, my examples, my word, would have been sufficient. I would have done it quickly. But in order to form the great plan of the human will in the divine, to bind all the relations and links which had been broken by it, I had to place all my interior, all my hidden life, all my intimate pains, which are far more numerous and more intense than my external pains, and which are not yet known. It is enough to say that I impetrated not only forgiveness, remission of sins, refuge, salvation and defense in the great dangers of the life of man, as I did during my passion, but the new rising of all his interior. I had to make the sun of the eternal will rise, which, binding with enrapturing power the whole interior of man, even his most intimate fibers, was to lead him to the womb of my celestial Father, as though reborn in his eternal will. Oh, how much easier it was for me to impetrate his salvation than to reorder his interior in my supreme volition. Had I not done this, redemption would not have been complete, nor a work worthy of a God. I would have neither fixed nor ordered all the parties of man, nor would I have restored in him that sanctity which was lost by withdrawing from the divine will and by breaking the relations with it. The plan is already accomplished, but in order to make it known, first it was necessary for man to know that with my life and passion he could obtain forgiveness and salvation, in order to dispose him to know how I had impetrated for him the greatest and most important thing, the new rising of his will and mine, to give him back his nobility and the relations with my will which had been broken, and with it, his original state. Now, my daughter, if my eternal wisdom disposed that a celestial creature, the holiest of all, would prepare the seed of my holy will, in which I formed the plan of the new rising of man in my supreme will, now, through another creature, by letting her enter the eternal regions of my will, and binding her will to mine, uniting her to all my acts, I make all of her interior rise again in the eternal sun of my will, and I open the field of this plan to the generations, so that, whoever wants it, can enter into it to put herself in relation with her Creator. And if, until now, the creatures have enjoyed the goods of redemption, now they will move on to enjoy the fruits of the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven, as well as the lost happiness, the dignity and nobility, the peace all celestial, which by doing his will, man had made disappear from the face of the earth. Greater grace I could not give him, because by placing him again in relation with my will, I give back to him all the goods with which I endowed him in creating him. Therefore, be attentive, since this is about opening a large field of goods for all your brothers. August 16, 1923. Jesus wants us to do his will in order to give us of his own. If we do so, he receives his own glory from the creature. I was thinking to myself, why does blessed Jesus have so much interest, and he wants and loves so much that his will be done? What glory can he receive from a poor and vile creature who surrenders her will into his most high, most holy and most adorable will? Now, while I was thinking about this, my adorable Jesus, with unspeakable tenderness and sweetness, told me, "My daughter, do you want to know why? Because my love, my supreme goodness, is so great that every time the creature does my will and operates because I want it, I give her of my own, and in order to always give her of my own, I want her to do my will. Therefore, all the reason and the interest for which I want her to do my will, is to find occasions and means to be able to always give. It is my love that does not want to be still, it wants to always run, flying toward the creature, but to do what? To give. And by doing my will, she comes closer to me and I to her, and I give and she takes. On the other hand, if she does not operate to do my will, she keeps her distance from me, becoming as though foreign to me, and therefore she cannot take what I wanted to give her. And if I wanted to give her of my own, it would be noxious and indigestible for her, because her palate, rough and contaminated by the human will, would not allow her to taste or appreciate the divine gifts. Therefore, all the interest is because I want to always give of my own. My glory, then, is my own glory which I receive through the work of the creature who does my will. It is a glory which descends from heaven and rises again straight at the foot of my throne, multiplied by the divine will which has been exercised by the creature. On the other hand, the glory that those who do not do my will can give me, if there were any at all, would be a glory foreign to me, which many times reaches the point of nauseating me. More so, since when the creature operates to do my will, by giving her of my own, I unite to that work my sanctity, my power and wisdom, the beauty of my works, an incalculable and infinite value. I could say that these are fruits of my lands, works of my celestial kingdom, glory of my family and of my legitimate children. So, how could they not be pleasing to me? How could I not feel the enrapturing power of my supreme volition in those works of the creature, who works only to do my will? Oh, if all knew the good of it, they would not let themselves be deceived by their own will.